They laughed when he signed instead of speaking. They rolled their eyes when he didn't respond. But when the captain found out what the flight attendant had done, the entire plane went silent. Because sometimes the loudest apology comes from those who never learn to listen. Gate A19, Dallas International Airport. Passengers shuffled toward Flight 207, a routine trip to Seattle. Among them was a quiet young man named Ethan Miller, 26 years old, wearing a small silver hearing aid and holding a notepad that said in neat handwriting, "Hi, I'm deaf. Please let me know if you need to communicate. I can read lips." He smiled politely at everyone he passed. Most smiled back until he reached the boarding desk. The flight attendant, Chloe, glanced at his notepad, rolled her eyes, and whispered to her coworker, "Oh great, this'll be fun. Can't even talk to the passengers now." Ethan caught the tone, not the words, but he recognized the expression. He smiled anyway. He was used to it. As passengers settled in, Chloe leaned over to another attendant and whispered, "He's in one for a, hope he doesn't need to call for water every 5 minutes. How am I supposed to know what he wants?" The other attendant laughed uncomfortably. Ethan sat quietly by the window, watching clouds form beyond the glass. In his lap was a small envelope, a letter addressed to the Silent Wings Foundation, a charity he was traveling to represent. Ethan wasn't just any passenger. He was flying to receive an award for developing a device that helped deaf children learn speech through vibrations. But Chloe didn't know that. Mid-flight, as the seatbelt sign turned off, Ethan pressed the call button. Chloe walked over, tapping her nails impatiently on the tray table. He held up his notepad again. "Can I please have some water?" Chloe sighed dramatically and muttered, "You could just say it. You know?" She poured the water, but deliberately placed it far on his tray. Then turned and said loudly to another passenger, "If you can't even order water properly, maybe stay home next time." A few passengers exchanged uneasy glances. One woman frowned. Ethan's face fell, but he stayed calm. He took a deep breath, wrote on his pad, and showed her, "I can't hear you, but I can still feel your tone." For the first time, Chloe's smirk faded. But embarrassment turned to defensiveness. "Look, I'm just doing my job," she snapped. She stormed away. Minutes later, the cockpit door opened. Captain James Porter, mid-40s.com, confident and respected, stepped into the cabin. He approached Ethan's seat, crouched slightly, and signed, "Are you okay?" Ethan blinked, surprised. The captain smiled. "My sister's deaf," he signed fluently. "I understand." Ethan nodded, his eyes filling with tears. He wrote on his pad, "I'm fine. Just wish people would listen before they speak." Captain Porter stood, turned to Chloe, and said firmly, "Miss Chloe, step with me to the galley now." In the small service area, his voice was low but sharp. "Do you know who that man is? That's Ethan Miller. He's being honored for his invention helping deaf children communicate. You mocked a hero on my flight." Chloe's face went pale. I didn't know, sir. That's the point," he replied coldly. "You never cared to know." Captain Porter returned to the cabin, holding the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, "we have a very special passenger aboard today. Someone who proves that real communication doesn't need words." He gestured to Ethan. "Mr. Miller here has changed the lives of thousands of children who can't hear but can still dream. Let's give him the respect he's always deserved." Applause erupted through the cabin. Chloe stood frozen, tears welling up as guilt hit her. Ethan smiled shyly and signed, "Thank you." Chloe approached him slowly, voice trembling. "Mr. Miller, I'm so sorry. I was cruel. I didn't understand." Ethan wrote one final message. "Understanding starts when listening begins." She nodded, tears falling. Captain Porter placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder. "You've done more to teach empathy today than I ever could." As the plane landed in Seattle, the passengers applauded again. Ethan stood, clutching his notepad. He smiled at Chloe and signed one simple phrase: "Safe travels." When he left, Captain Porter turned to Chloe and said softly, "Now you know, silence isn't weakness. It's strength waiting to be heard." Fade out. Soft piano music plays. Text on screen. Respect has no language. Kindness needs no sound. Inspired by true stories of deaf travelers around the world,